I have the luckiest job in the world, and I'll tell you why, because I've known both these gentlemen in the past, in the years that I was more actively in the business day to day. But I remember one time specifically, Saeed, we were into Kuwait, and we were in the lineup to go through to get the visa those days. This is a long time ago when you had to wait a long time. But it was a great catch-up then.
Yeah.
And I also remember Jem in Istanbul, and he was running a shopping center called Canyon.
Yes.
And so there's a history with all of us, and it's great to have everybody back on stage. We're talking today about technology, and I think we all know the name Yardi, but I don't think many people know how Cem has created his own, with his team, a bit of technology that is, I think, a little bit unique. But I think, Saeed, let me start with you first, please. Yardi is a household name.
Yeah.
It's one of those names that I think you particularly have your fingerprints all over this region, and the installations are all a tribute to what you've been able to do. Today is different than, say, 15 years ago when I was seeing you in Kuwait. What's different about the industry for you today than it was back then?
Yeah, thank you, David. Great to see you today. Definitely, technology continue to evolve. And as technology is evolving, the industry evolves as well. So 15 years back, the focus of our clients was how to have all their data centralized in one place so they can utilize this data in different analytical reporting and have clarity on which direction they have to take in the future. Today is all about they get the data in its place. So now they're about how they brainstorm this data and analyze this data in taking predictive analysis and better decisions in the future and how to compete in the market. So 15 years back, technology was used to digitize the processes mainly and making sure that all the data sits in a system rather than on a piece of papers or Excels, etc. And I believe the majority of the companies have achieved that today. And now they have this huge library of data, and how they're going to utilize it in having an edge in the market and to compete with their market peers. And we continue to face these challenges on an annual basis. Every year you have something new. All the companies are pretty much doing the same, especially in the retail, shopping malls, etc. So how they can really enhance their operational efficiencies and improve the overall customer experience.
Things change. That's about retail. It's always about change. Jim, in the last little while, you have organized your team to create something that operates in real time, that gives information in real time. And you've started by doing it in your own shopping center group. So give me a little bit of background for the audience so that they understand why and the where, why you did what you did with your technology in your business.
Thanks, David. Thanks. It's great being here. If you allow me, let me start with a few words about ESAS.
Sure.
So that
Please.
The audience will understand what we are doing and how we are doing. Actually, ESAS Properties is a private property owner and asset management platform company. We, at the moment, manage a worth of over $2 billion of assets, mainly shopping centers, 14 shopping centers in Turkey, 7 that we own, and we recently added a project outside Turkey in northern Iraq, a recently signed project. We have few offices, office spaces, office buildings, and some residentials. And we have been, as you have said, transforming the business for the last couple of years. And for sure, technology is in the very heart of it. And as Saeed said, data is everywhere. I mean, we collect data from various sources, from visitor analytics, the doors, the beacons, the turnovers, rents, common area expenses, looking at the customer side, I mean, various data again on the customer side, but how we can really turn this data into powerful insights and how we can turn powerful insights into action has been our problem for many years, as you have said. So that was the need, actually. But we also understood that transforming the business and putting technology in the heart of it is one thing, but how do we create the cultural shift? How do we make an organization-wide turnaround, transformation? That has been really a difficult part. So I have a very nice vision sentence saying that it is essential to integrate digital technology and better digital experiences into all areas of business, changing how we operate and create value for business, but that's a nice vision sentence. How you execute it is the difficult part. So I guess I will speak about some experiences we have had during this journey, and hopefully it will be beneficiary for the audience.
One of the things that you'd mentioned to me when we were chatting before this session, you'd said that part of what you needed in your shopping centers was being able to track performance in real time of your retailers. Tell me a little bit about that.
David, there is a big gap between the data and action.
Yes.
So, as you have said, we created the ERP platform, but again, there was so much data in it, but we couldn't transform it into actions. And the actions need to be real-time actions, which means you need to see the data in the morning and take an action in the afternoon and make an impact on results.
That's in an ideal world.
Yeah, definitely. So what we did was we created a BI platform. We call it Assetify. It works on Microsoft applications. But at the end of the day, we designed it because you don't get a ready product. And the idea was to help our asset teams to make real-time decisions by looking at a deep data and taking insights, and they can customize their reports, let's say. They can customize their screens, their dashboards. And looking at that data, they are focusing on how they can improve the performance of tenants. I think that's a key. We have retailers, we have F&B, fashion retailers in the room, entertainers, and landlords. And I think we have an ultimate common goal, how we can improve performance in our centers and how we can look at the low performers with different angles. So that's why that powerful insight was really important to us. And it was even important for our marketing department to look at how they will allocate their marketing budget within the center.
So it's not just about tracking the retailers' revenues, footfall, it's greater than that.
Definitely, and it's daily, David. It's not monthly, it's not weekly.
It's daily.
We track the data daily, and we take actions so that we can have an impact on the results sooner.
Okay. So we were talking about, before we just came up, I know Yardi has some fantastically sophisticated systems that are well integrated into these companies, shopping centers primarily. What does Yardi do to try and get the staff away from just running the Excel spreadsheet and using the Yardi platform the way they should and could? Is there any secret you can share?
Yeah, of course. So from Yardi perspective, we have different solutions for different asset classes. So we build the expertise in each real estate vertical, and retail is one of them. So when we look at the retail, at the end of the day, it's all about the customer journey, which is, a series of interactions between the customer and the mall owner and operator that starts from being a prospect, then receiving offer letters, signing the lease contract, becoming a tenant, and thereafter, you have the tenant relationships. And part of it is like if a tenant or a prospect decide to pull out, how you manage the process. So the thing starts from the prospecting, how you do the full lead to lease cycle, how you manage your lease agreements, and any amendments in the lease contracts, whether it's terminations or renewals or even retail-specific amendments such as expansion or contraction or holdover, etc. And on top of that, the financial part is very important. As Jem was saying, retail sales data. How we capture retail sales data from our retailers. Are we gonna link to their point of sales? That's an option. Are we gonna extend for them a portal, and they upload their sales data on daily basis, for example, and link this sales data into the footfall and see, for example, if a mall done an event, and we attracted 1 million visitors today. How this 1 million visitor translated in increasing the sales for our retailers, because as a mall owner and operator, it's part of our responsibility to help our retailers have more sales. So we generate more turnover rent, et cetera, et cetera. The other part of it is your financial accounting and the billing. In retail, it's not like residential where you have a rent, fixed rent, and that's it. So you have the base rent, you have the turnover rent, which is based on different criteria, whether it's a natural breakpoint, artificial breakpoint, OCR, floor, ceiling, etc. You have different combinations. It's very complex for you to use spreadsheets or even do it manually. And then how we do the forecasts. So it's not only how we are running our mall today, but how we're going to forecast our revenue for the next years. Are we forecasting the base rent, or are we forecasting the tenant sales based on the historical records we have in the system? On top of that, the visualization of how the shopping center is performing, right? As Jem have said, before we used to have, the brand mix or tenant mix. Now we can have this tenant mix on a floor plan or the full mall on a floor plan, and we can visualize the performance of particular sections in the mall. Which section is generating more sales? Which section is having more footfall? How this event increased the footfall but didn't increase the sale? Does that mean the event was successful or not? So having all this strong data foundation in one interconnecting system definitely help reduce a lot of workload from the operations team or the mall management team, because typically they used to fight against time, right? They have a lot of tasks, a lot of responsibilities, and definitely having the Yardi platform, whether it's used in its full capacity or partially, how it eased on them, all these burdens from the operational perspective. And Jem have said one important point. It's not about the technology alone. It's about utilizing this technology, right?
It comes back, in my view, to the people. Because if the people don't integrate what you are using, selling, providing, then why should we do it? And I think that's the whole basis for it. It comes back to people. And
100%.
It comes back to, and that's how important people are in the accounting side, in the finance side, to understand really what these sticks and bricks mean.
100%. So I always say it's like, systems or data analytics like what Tom Cruise utilized in Mission Impossible, but you have the personal and the human touch to it like Javier have done. So it's always a combination. Software itself doesn't solve the problem. It's a combination between having the right tool, the right technology, and the right team using it.
And the right team.
Yeah.
Jem, data insights of business analytics. Tell me about that.
David, at the end of the day, as Said said, there is an ultimate goal to help retailers to improve turnovers and to create a win-win situation for everyone. So as we have worked really hard for the cultural shift and brought the best technology in, then our focus was to create those insights, because we need to look at, first of all, we have to have the same database for everyone in the company, for the finance department, for leasing, for marketing. Everyone has to utilize the same data. There shouldn't be different data sources. Secondly, as I said, the second layer has to work perfectly, which is the insights. So you have to create those insights. And based on that, every single person in the company, not just the executives, not just the C-suite, but the analysts also on the ground, should be able to looking at the data, those insights, and make daily decisions to change the lives of our retailers, to help them make better turnover, and at the end of the day, create a win-win situation. So I think having the best technology is one thing, but creating those insights requires experience and a design capability. And I think as a property company, we had it. We have our own shopping centers for the last 15, 17 years. And then we have been managing other investors' projects. So we have been gathering data, and we had the experienced team to create that layer, data insights. And then to turn it into impactful actions and show it to retailers and gain their confidence was another part of the story, because they need to put data in the system. They need to put their turnovers daily, and we need to work hand in hand with them to make the analytics work for all of us. And I think we have gone a long way to create that platform together. And we see that it's working, and it's making an impact on our financial results.
We spoke earlier about teams and the right teams, and Said, you said that we need to have the right teams, but how do you help your customer base identify the characteristics of a good team? You implement this on a regular basis everywhere. So what do you give your customers?
What we started to do, so we received too many requests from different prospects or customers say, we want to implement the Yardi platform. And the first question we would ask, why you would need to implement the Yardi platform, right? What you're trying to achieve. So we have really a detailed and thorough discussions. Then we define 15 to 20 goals that we need to achieve. How we gonna, for example, shorten the leasing cycle? How we gonna shorten the lease planning? How we gonna improve the customer satisfaction by a certain percentage? How much time we have to reduce in our budgeting cycle, etc. So we define these goals, and we make sure that the same has been communicated to all the stakeholders within the company. And as we progress in the implementation, we click the boxes. Okay, before we go live, we have a meeting with all the stakeholders and said, okay, our goal was to shorten the leasing life cycle or the leasing planning by 30%. How long is it taking us to convert a lead into a deal today? How long it takes you to generate a lease contract from the system? How many steps you need to do? Because at the end of the day, investing in a software technology is not about having your existing processes implemented in the system, but also how you can improve these processes and improve the overall efficiency.
Seems like you're looking over the shoulders of your customers to try and move them along in the process.
Of course. That's part of the partnership, right? So we believe, and that's why since we came in UAE in 2012, our clients who've signed with us in 2011, before even we started in the UAE, they are still using our platform. And that's kind of trust, that's kind of understanding what are the client needs and expectations. And we keep adding in new features and functionalities as we progress.
Keep them coming back.
May I have an addition?
Please,
to what Said
please.
said? Because that has been our experience also. We worked with, let's say, best of the best global companies. But we see that at the end of the day, a digital transformation is not a project, it's a process. Mm-hmm. So the stakeholders as a whole have to buy into it. You have to include all. That has been like a hard process for us and probably for everyone. And secondly, it requires a holistic approach. It's an organization-wide approach. And it's a big cultural shift, which needs board-level sponsorship and C-suite involvement. Otherwise, you don't really succeed.
Otherwise, nothing gets adopted, nothing gets done.
And I have some survey saying that 70% of the digital transformation projects are going into the garbage.
Why?
That's a big, big number, and it's said that $1.3 trillion is the amount of digital transformation projects in the recent years. So it's a big number, and we shouldn't waste it. We should succeed in digital transformation.
Is there some particular points that are important for the audience to understand why these digital transformations fail?
Actually, some of the reasons we have mentioned, people take it as a project. They don't really take it as a process, and they don't...
So process, the process means that it's going to take, what, 3 months, 6 months, a year to get up to speed with this? Is that what it's saying?
It's a process, and it means that you have to get the organization-wide involvement in the project. It's not just few people sitting around the table and making it happen. You really have to work through the organization. You have to really make the cultural shift. So next to technology, I guess the cultural shift is really an important component of a successful digital transformation.
Yeah, I agree with you, but from my perspective, I also categorize that for two reasons. The first reason, when you look into a real estate software, it's actually a business application. It's not an IT application, right? If you don't have the blessing from the business stakeholders, whether I'm the head of asset management or I'm the CFO or the CEO, it really goes through rounds and rounds, right? And the other reason for that is the customizations. So for example, you say, I have my process, and I'm sticking to my process. I would go with any software that can be customized to meet my existing process. It doesn't work like that, right? Because customizations, we've tried it before, and it didn't work. So now we are working on standardizing, the software solutions and the applications, right? And how the companies and the stakeholders, adjust their processes, and be flexible in terms of, taking what's standard in the market. So I believe these two are very important captions. And that's how, when we start the implementation from Yardi perspective, first of all, we say we don't customize. What you see is what you get. We don't have programmers in our team. It's a ready software. All what you need to do is to define your chart of account, DOAs, etc., and migrate your data and utilize the software. If you want to build functionalities, Yardi maybe is not the right partner for you. If you want to customize, maybe you tell us what you are trying to achieve, and we build that as a standard functionality in the product, and then it will be available for you and other customers at the same time. So I believe we've been successful in this part. We took a stand in terms of we are supporting the standard processes, and we don't customize our platform. And I believe the majority of our clients, since they've been still our clients, they are happy with that.
Seems like the right way forward. So we have a few minutes left, but does anyone in the audience have any questions for these two industry leaders that we have on the stage? Not often do you have the chance to ask questions. And if there are no questions, then I can ask one more from each of you, and that is, what does the future hold for you, Cem, in terms of Assetify and other parts of your programs?
I think, first of all, it's a process, it's a journey, so we keep on actually improving the software. And one of the things we have been working on is the prediction part of it. So we are looking at the post data, and we are making decisions for today, but how do we predict the future? If we make a change, if we make a new lease contract, if we make a change on the floor plan, how will impact our business? So prediction side is something we are working on. And also we are trying to bring AI more into the business, which means we are working on a project with Microsoft called Copilot, which is actually an AI assistant. And you describe what you need, including reports, narrative summaries, calculations, and ask a question about your data, and Copilot will analyze and pulse and visualize the report.
Sounds like a great future, Said.
Oh, where to start? There's a lot going from product development. So if I want to be retail specific, today we have a functionality that allows the mall owners or the asset managers to have a floor plan on the tablet. They can execute lease contracts or offer letters from the tablet itself. And suppose the leasing agent is sitting with a prospect and they want to merge two units together, they can still do the merging from the floor plan itself, which will update the master data back in the back office. Before, this used to be a bottleneck in having different CAD files and different revisions as you upgrade your floor plans. Today, this product is really nailing it globally with different global retail shopping centers, and we started to introduce that in this region. Also, we started to see a shift in terms of office space, for example, and even some retail shopping centers are having office space within it, like in Qatar or in Abu Dhabi.
I understand.
And we started to see the shared office space or the WeWork concept, because the office space under pressure, 70% occupancy across the world. They need to fill out the space. What they do, they make a shared office space. They start to lease meeting rooms, boardrooms, et cetera, with different services. Energy management, how you optimize your mall energy consumption, right? How you do, auto utility billing, how you connect to the smart meters. You do the payment and bill back your tenants in a seamless process without the need of any manual or human work. So a lot happening from our side just to make sure that our clients utilize the end-to-end processes in a single integrated database and build on that different predictive insights and analytics as well.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. And I would like everyone to please join me in thanking these gentlemen for joining us on stage today. And thank you very much.
Thank you.